What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Purpose Journey podcast. You're watching week 2 of the podcast. Thanks to everybody that's been joining so far, joining the journey. I'm very excited for this week. We're going to be diving into my good friend JR's music career, his journey to where he kind of got into music. I think that's very interesting. We're going to be also getting a deep dive on balancing parenting and chasing your dream. And I know you have a really inspiring story. So, for the people that haven't heard, kind of tell them, a little bit about your background, kind of like your journey.
Yeah, man. I'll talk a little bit about, I guess, where I'm from and kind of where I'm at now. And then I guess we'll dive a little bit deeper as we go in. But so my name is JR. My actual name, what I go by is JR Salinas. But what people know me as online and, Instagram, social media and stuff like that, since I've started the music, is as JR Cole. And we can get into that a little bit later about like why I chose that name and kind of where it comes from and stuff. But yeah, man, I'm from Robstown, Texas, born and raised, small town right outside Corpus Christi. Shout out to my Robstown people. And yeah, man, I grew up there. Small town life, small town living. Everybody knows everybody, So I think that kind of comes through in some of the music and stuff like that, where I'm at now. Before I got into music, I got into law enforcement straight out of college. I went to A&M Corpus, got a bachelor's degree over there. Got into law enforcement back in 2013. So this coming January would be 11 years. And then at some point during that time frame, man, I just, my love for music kind of just took over and got some inspiration and finally decided just to kind of run with it,
Like listening to your story, it gives me a vibe of like you have a plan of action, but you're also willing to, hey, it's going to take me this way. Let me go on and do what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
I think you have to, man. Like, so my girl always makes fun of me and she kind of gets like upset because, so I have this saying that I kind of use for, I guess, just everybody, like the people around me, right? And kind of something that I try to live by. So I always say like, move with a sense of urgency.
I like that.
And so, like, when I was in the police department, when you're in the academy, man, like, you don't think for yourself, right? Like, it's like you're going to be here at, 8 a.m., whatever. You're 8 a.m., you're here. At 8:05, you're in formation. At 8:15, you're cracking books. At 8:30, class starts. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a mind of your own, right? And everything you do, like, if they tell you, hey, man, you have 5 minutes to leave the classroom, go to the locker room, grab your water, change, and be outside in formation. Like, you got 5 minutes. So I guess it stuck with me. So now, like, everything I try to live by is, like, move with a sense of urgency. Sometimes I get a little too critical, like, if we're at the mall and, like, we're supposed to go to the Croc store and we stop at Disney. I'm like, nah, man, like, move with a sense of urgency. Let's go. Let's go.
It's already instilled in you. Like,
yeah. But I think it does help, man, with, like, with music and stuff like that, where it's like, hey, man, if I don't do it and I don't do it now, nobody's going to do it for me. I have to move with a sense of urgency for the things that I want in my life, because if I don't, time's not going to stop. It's just going to fade away. You know what I mean?
So with this being the Purpose Journey podcast, a question I'm asking all of my interviews, all my guests, just to kind of get a feel for it and maybe hopefully help serve somebody, inspire somebody. What would your definition of purpose be?
So for me, man, I think it's kind of like general, but, my whole thing with anything for purpose is like, why are you here, right? Like, why? What is it that I'm doing, today, yesterday, tomorrow, that's going to take me to where I need to be, And that could be, doing something for myself, doing something for my loved ones, doing something for my daughter. And the question, I guess, that I kind of ask myself is like, why are you doing this? What's the reasoning, right? And so to kind of dive into like how I got started into music, right? It kind of answers like the purpose of that for me. So growing up, man, from a real young age, like, I love music. It's just, it's been in my blood. It's always been a thing for me. And I remember, it's like a core memory of mine when I was in kinder. And I might be getting the memory wrong, but this is the way I remember it. So when I was in kindergarten, Tim McGraw was like, he was the dude, right? Like, it was like Tim McGraw, Garth Brooks,
Yeah.
And so I want to say it was around like Thanksgiving or something, and the teacher had said to like bring something in that inspires you and you're thankful for, and something that involves like Thanksgiving, you know. And back then it was the whole like Native Americans and pilgrims and all, you know. And so I was like, all right, well, what can I bring? I mean, I'm like 6 years old, right? So I ended up taking, back then it was cassettes. I took a cassette, man, of Tim McGraw. And I don't know if you ever heard the song Indian Outlaw.
I haven't heard that song.
Has nothing to do with Thanksgiving or with like Native Americans and pilgrims. Nothing to do. But in my head back then, obviously like Indian.
It had the name. Yeah,
it had the name. So I'm like, Indian Outlaw. I'm like, that's Thanksgiving, right? Like it talks about like Choctaw and all these like different tribes and stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'll take. So I took a cassette in and they like popped it into the cassette player, and I sang Indian Outlaw to the classroom.
When you were that young?
When I was that young.
Damn. So you were not shy. You were not
I got it. The shyness kicked in, but back then it was like I didn't care, man. Like anything I can do to sing, I'll do it. And I thought like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity, right? Like they're asking for something Native American related, and this song's called Indian Outlaw, so that's gonna be it.
Yeah.
And so from a young age, man, like it started, right? But then when I got older, I developed like a severe stage fright. I mean, like crippling stage fright, you know, to where if I had to be in front of people, whether it was public speaking or God forbid somebody, you know, heard me sing in the past and was like, oh, JR knows how to sing us something. Forget it. You know, like I would freak, dude. Like I'd start sweating. My face would get flushed. I would like tremble. It was terrible, dude. And that stuck with me from around middle school till a year and a half ago. I mean, it stuck with
like that.
Yeah,
like a year and a half ago.
like decades long.
That's crazy.
And the thing that prompted it was two things. So, number one, my kid loves music. She can sing. I can hear her in her room, and she's like, so lately we've been listening. You ever listen to Papa Roach?
Yeah.
So he's kind of throwback, but we've been listening to Papa Roach lately, and we've been listening to that song, "To Be Loved," where it's
I haven't heard this. The only song I know from them is "Last Resort."
Last Resort.
I mean, everybody knows "Last
Okay.
Resort."
Well, there's another one that's like a banger, dude, and we were listening to it the other day, where it's like, "Whoa, I never give in, whoa," and so I'll hear my daughter like in the room when she's like off on her own, and I'm like, "What is she singing?" And she'll be like, "Whoa," and she's singing Papa Roach, right? And so
that's cool.
She's super into music, man. She loves it, and she can sing. She can carry a tune, and she'll like harmonize with me, you know. So like I'll sing down here, and she'll sing high, and it's like I love it. But she's so scared. She's so shy, right? So I see the same thing in her that I developed at a later age, and if she's already developing it at 5, 6 years old, all it's gonna do is it's gonna get worse, right? So, you know, to me, kind of to circle back around to the purpose thing. So to me, like my goal, just as a human being, like a part of society, right, is when I'm dead, when I'm gone, is to have left something for the people that look to me for leadership, whether it be my daughter, my girlfriend, you know, my family, whatever it is. If they look to me in any way, shape or form, in any leadership or capacity where it's like, hey man, like you're the one that's kind of leading this ship, you know, is I need to do something while I'm here that lends itself to be an influence to them. And so for me, like my biggest thing right now with my kid, her biggest thing is music, right? Like that's what is surrounding her world right now. She doesn't have to deal with bills. She doesn't have a house. She doesn't, right? Like her world it revolves around like, I want to draw. I want to jump on the trampoline. I want to sing. And the biggest of all of them right now is singing. And when I see that shyness and stuff, I'm like, dude, like if I had somebody back then who would have been like, hey man, it's okay. Like it's okay to chase your dream. It's okay to sing in front of people. It's not, even if you do terrible and people don't like you that day, you're going to go home, you're going to go to sleep the same way, and you're going to wake up in the morning, you'll be fine. And I didn't have that growing up. And so to me, the purpose for the music is like trying to show her that, hey, you can do this. Like a year and a half ago, your dad felt the exact same way that you feel. And now I'm up on stage, you know, we did a show where there was thousands of people. And honestly, man, it's weird because the smaller the show, the harder it is for me. When
that's interesting.
So when it's small and there's only a few people, and I'm like, man, like they're like I really have to sing to these few people. It makes it more difficult. That show that we had when it was thousands of people, I felt like this is it. Like this is the shit. Like I was up there and I felt it. You know what I mean? And so when I look back at, man, I used to be scared of like the bigger crowds. Like how would I handle a bigger crowd? And now it's like that's like what I thirst for is like to get to show people like, hey, we can do this shit. And so when I do these shows and stuff, getting to see my kid out there and singing along to songs and stuff like that, and then coming on stage with me every once in a while and singing or dancing on stage with me while I'm singing, like it's like, all right, like something's working. You know what I mean? And even if she doesn't, next year she could like, I hate singing. It was just a phase. But I tried my best to do my part during that time when she felt like she couldn't do it to make her see that she could do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. That's really cool. I kind of want to touch on that. I'm curious, what brought you over that ledge for yourself? Like, obviously, you were talking about for your daughter. Right now, you're there for her, that you could help her overcome that, that maybe shyness, maybe that insecurity to sing in front of people. What helped you in that process? Because I know a lot of people, man, I know for myself, too, like, when there was just literally the most simplest thing of going up and ordering a meal. Like I used to be so shy. Like I didn't want to talk to anybody or going and talking to a girl. Like I used to be ridiculously shy and just nervous and insecure. So I could imagine singing in front of people is something even more like, oh shoot, But I'm sure it wasn't just singing for you. I'm sure you were probably insecure in other levels and maybe that brought it. But like, what was that for you that got you over that hump?
So there was a couple things, man. So the first thing is there was a day where my girl, where Cassie one day was like, because I had started kind of dabbling with music, like I'd do little recordings and I'd post like a little snippet on Instagram, right? But I never really was pushing it and I wasn't really chasing it. And one day I remember basically she was like, you need to quit being and she's like, like nut up or shut up time. Either stop doing this, either stop wasting your time and wasting money, investing in things that you're never going to pursue, or start trying to write music and start playing out and like, nut up or shut up, right? So when she presented it as like, hey, dude, like either do this or don't now, that to me was like a kick in the ass. It was like, all right, it's time to do it, And so that was number one. And then number two, I guess as I've gotten older, man, I've started to notice, so like, as people, we do things always for a purpose, right? Usually it's either to please our boss or to please our loved one, or we drink water because we're thirsty, we eat because we're hungry. Like there's always a purpose behind every single thing we do as people. But as I started getting older, I started noticing like, man, like the simple, like desires or whatever, quenching thirst, eating food, like I was kind of in like just a circle, man, just going round and round. Like it was the same thing every day, all the time. And then I kind of like, I need to do this for me, man, because if something happens and I were to die tomorrow or whatever, or if I were to get sick or something were to happen to where I'd lose my voice, in the back of my head, I'd always think, I never pursued the one thing that I truly wanted to do with my life. Like law enforcement, it was a goal of mine from a real young age. Excuse me, but it's never been what I really, really, really wanted to do. You feel me? You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
I started getting a little bit older and thought like, hey, like this is gonna pass me by, and it's gonna get to the point where I just can't do it anymore. Not physically, but I just don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I don't have it's gonna pass me by. And so that was kind of the thing that kind of jolted it.
Half the times, like what I've seen in my own life and what I kind of see with other people is we're scared to do something, but it's always behind closed doors.
Yeah.
You get me? When you bring it to the light, it's not as bad as it seems. Like for you, it was like terrifying. But when you told Cass, just do it. You know what I'm saying? It's as simple as that. And sometimes we overthink so much that we're scared to take that first step. And whatever it may be, it could be going to school. It could be writing a song, starting a podcast. Like if you just take that first jump, I think the rest is kind of history. Everything else kind of falls in line.
Yeah, dude, it makes it. I'll tell you a quick story. Actually, it's kind of embarrassing. It's funny. Nobody knows this besides me and her. So when I first started getting into the actual music thing, before I had like some old microphones and stuff like that from back in the day when I would mess around with stuff when I was in high school and college and stuff. But before I really started investing into like real gear, the only thing we had that I could like sing through was my daughter's karaoke machine. so like I'd be at home with.
Don't tell me it was pink, man.
Dude, no, it's white. It's white, but it lights up. It lights up pink though. And so the only thing I had to sing on was my kid's karaoke machine. And so I'd be there like powering on a karaoke machine and singing through the mic, right? But then one day she was like, I've never really heard you sing. Like, I hear you sing in the car. I hear you sing along to stuff. I know you can sing, but I've never heard you sing. And she's like, sing for me. I'm like, nah, I'm cool. Right? Like, nah, I'm cool. Don't worry about it. Trust me, right? But just believe me. And so she's like, sing something for me. I'm like, no. And so finally she kind of like detka about it, right? Like, do this. So I'm like, all right. And dude, I legit, this is how shy I was a year and a half ago. Like, this was like a year and a half ago. I was so shy, even in front of like a significant other. She was sitting on the couch, and I was legit standing behind like a beam in our house, dude. Like singing behind there. So she could hear, right? But like she couldn't see me. And to me, it was like, oh, you can't see me, so I'm all right. Like, bro, that's how bad it was a year and a half ago. And like you said, man, it's just one of those things that when you finally take that leap and you start to hear people like, hey, dude, y'all sound good. And hey, this is like whatever, and keep chasing that dream and doing this and doing that. And it gives you, some acknowledgement of like what you're doing, right? But it helps to ease those nerves, man, because I mean, even this, like the podcast, like, I mean, you're putting yourself out there, you know what I mean? And, I don't know how long you've wanted to do this, but I'm sure it's been an idea that you've had for probably a little while. And then you finally decided we're just like, I need to do this. Like, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, even like with this, man, I'm sure, there's some nerves and stuff like that, but it's good, man. You're taking that leap and you're putting yourself out there and trying to do something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's something like we talked about. It's an idea I've had. I'm a very creative guy, so I always have an idea for a project or an idea for this, for that. But going back to what this conversation has been on, of like, we just got to take that leap. You know what I'm saying? And once I took that leap, I was like, you know what? I got my Amazon cart filled with all the things I need, and I'm like, do I buy it? I'm like, dude, we rationalize things in life. I was talking about this with my pastor of like, we would all have like a PhD in rationalization. Like, dude, we're like, nah, I don't need to do it. I don't need to do that. Yeah. Or, it's okay. I don't need to do this.
Not today.
Yeah. But I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And got going with different things, other businesses I've done, and things I've done. But very, very interesting. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how it kind of just goes on. I'm curious. How did the name, we kind of talked about it. How did the name J.R. Cole, how did that become your name, for, I guess for your music career, your journey?
So obviously I go by J.R., right? It's my initials. So J.R. was already there. But Salinas is like, I don't want like country fans, because like if I'm performing at the RGV, they'd be like, all right, J.R. Salinas. But if I go to like Dallas or something, they're gonna be like, "Oh, J.R. Salinas," and I'm like, "Nah, I'm not having that, man. Like, I don't want that." So then I started thinking, well, I don't really want to get like Post Malone or something that's like completely obscure. Like, I want something tied to me.
That's cool.
And so Cole is my kid's middle name, and so I was like, all right, J.R. Cole. Everybody's gonna say stuff about J. Cole, but that's all right.
Honestly, never even thought about that until like earlier today. I was telling someone I was going to interview you, and they're like, J. Cole? I'm like, I didn't even think of that.
I get that so much, man. But yeah, man, so it came from kind of, and then it was also one, that it's her middle name, but then two, kind of the whole thing about like the purpose with her and the music and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, well, this is a cool way for not only her to see what I'm doing and up on stage and everything like that, but every time somebody announces me that like up next, or whenever I'm on stage and I say, hey man, check out my website or do everything is J.R. Cole. So everything she hears has her name in it.
Oh,
You know,
wow. I didn't even know that. That's
Yeah.
really cool, bro.
so it helps reinforce like, man, like, and she'll see stuff like band gear or different things, and she'll see like, she's like J.R. Cole, and she's like, that's my name, you know. So it's
That's really sweet.
yeah, man. So
That's
it's
cool, bro. So, like when you guys started, was it like covers?
Mm-hmm.
Was it only covers, or did you guys have some original songs that you worked on? Like,
so at the very beginning it was just covers, and then we started doing some originals, and now even now when we play out, it's mostly covers because most of the places that they want you to play for 2, 3, 4 hours, and you know we don't have
that's crazy.
2, 3, 4 hours worth of original music, right? So we'll play a few original songs kind of mixed in, you know, and then we'll play a bunch of covers. And we try though, like on the cover songs that we do, we try to have more high octane stuff, right? So more of like Luke Combs, Jason Aldean, Cody Johnson, Luke Bryan, like stuff that's more like kind of bangers, you know, which we hope separates us a little bit, you know. But yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of the way it took off, and right now, so we're still doing a lot of covers and stuff like that. But we work on original stuff. That way, we can put more stuff out as we go. You know.
that's interesting. I kind of want to pivot a little bit. I want to talk about. 'Cause I think this could also help serve a lot of people. Because you are a parent, you have a daughter, and you have a daughter, you have a career, and then you're chasing your music dream, right? And you're on that journey, you're on that grind. What's that like? Like, what's that balance? You know, like for someone that, man, I know a lot of people myself personally that they have children, and they feel stuck. They feel like,
Yeah.
damn, I can't do anything else now, and now I got to work this job that I hate,
Yeah.
and I can't go chase this business I want to do because I got to provide for the family.
Yeah.
Which, yes, provide for your family, but you're proof that, hey, man, you can still go out there and figure it out. You can still go out there and chase your dream, and like, you know, what's that balance like?
It's hard, man. I mean, I'll be honest. It's not like a walk in the park or something that you just like. Oh yeah, I just. I think the question that you have to ask yourself at the very beginning of anything that you're trying to set out and do is, why am I doing this? What's the risk reward, and how much does it mean to me? You know what I mean? Like, because if your why for doing something is, oh, I want to make money, I want to make more money, like you're not going to be successful. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, if it's a business, if it's music, if it's baseball, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If your desire is strictly monetary, you're not going to be successful because your heart's not really in it. If the risk reward is like you're trying to do something, but you're going to lose everything that you currently have, like, I don't think that's there. You know what I mean? So to me, man, like, whenever I got started into this, it's tough having a family, having a full-time career, you know, that sometimes asks us to do stuff on weekends and stuff like that. It's stringent, but so there's some nights where like I'll get a song idea and it'll be 2:30 in the morning, and I'll get out of bed and I'll walk to the office and I'll like record it on my phone, try and come up with like a chord progression on the guitar, try and get a little bit of enough of the idea down so when I have time I can revisit it. Because something that I used to do a lot whenever I wasn't into music, you know, like actual trying to pursue something with it, is I would have ideas for something, right? Like a song, I'd have a rhythm that pop in my head, I'd have lyrics or chorus, whatever, and then I just like, oh, that would sound cool. All right, I'm gonna go back to bed. And then you wake up in the morning, it's gone, right? Like it's gone, it's left. And so now I have to make like a concerted effort where, you know, there's some times where maybe we want to go out to dinner or we want to do something, but it's like, no, I need to sit down and I need to edit this video. I need to work on this song. I need to get this stuff done. I need to do, like, you have to prioritize the things that you're doing. And I try to make it a point, you know, whenever I'm with my kid, to be present with her, you know, and to make sure that she knows that I care about her, that she knows that I love her, and she knows why I'm doing these things. And I think right now it's not a huge deal because my reach and the things that I'm doing is not humongous, right? Like, so most of the people that know me on social media now know me for the music thing. Like, that's where I started getting a little more following and stuff. But even at that, like, it's not huge, right? Like, I don't have like 1 million followers or something, right? So my reach and everything that I'm doing right now is smaller scale. So the consequence of that is less, right? So the consequence of me having gigs and doing, podcasts with you and different things like that, the consequence of that is very little right now. But I know if it ever got to any, let's say, Luke Combs, people like that, the consequence that they pay for having that lifestyle, the money, the fame, the fortune, the career, the accolades, the consequence of all that is way greater than my consequence right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So right now, even though I don't have to give up much, I know that possibility is possible, right? And so I know that I would have less time with my family. I'd have less time with my kid. So then I have to weigh internally, okay, well, where do I draw that line? Where do I say, hey, I'm pursuing this for us versus I'm pursuing this for me? And how much is it worth to them? If I'm here 100% of the time right now, and then I have a successful career and I'm there 25% of the time, but they have a much better house that they're in and they have better cars, they have better lifestyle, like, is it worth it? You know what I mean? So I guess the way that I weigh it right now is, and like for anybody that is trying to start out a business or something like that, is make sure that you understand like the ramifications of what it is that you're doing, and you need to devise a way internally to make sure that you're available for those people that are around you, right? Because like it's cool, for my kid to see me up on stage, it's cool for this or whatever, but like if I were to get real big, like I ain't gonna be, to her, I'm never gonna be J.R. Cole. Like to her, I'm gonna be daddy. You know what I mean? So like she's not gonna give a shit if there's 50,000 people in a crowd. It's like, okay, cool, but can you take me to Whataburger? You know what I mean? Like I don't, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you have to figure out like what your ambition is. It is for what you're doing, and you have to chase it, man. Like you're gonna have sleepless hours. You're gonna have nights where it feels tough and you feel run down. You're gonna hit walls where it's like, if I just stopped, it would be easier. If I didn't pursue this anymore, it would be easier. I wouldn't have the stress. I wouldn't have the strain. But then, like, there's moments in even just this, man, at the smaller scale that where I'm at right now, where I'm like, oh my, I just want to stop. Like, I just want, like, this is so, like, I get home from work and then I'm immediately working on music stuff, and it's like, I just want to stop. But then when the weekend comes, when I have a gig and I'm playing in front of a few hundred people and people are cheering and people are coming up and taking pictures with you, and they're like, dude, you sound so good, man. And when you come, you need to come to Houston. You need to do this. You need to do that. And when you get that, you're like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like you feel, and it's the same thing, like with you with the podcast, there might be moments where you're like, fuck, man, I have to do this right now, but then you put it out and maybe somebody messages you and like, hey man, like that helped me out, or that I got inspiration from that. Like that was awesome. And that's gonna hit something that you're like, all right, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So I think that's it, man. It's just internally have that dialogue with yourself to be able to make yourself available and make sure that you don't lose who you are to yourself and to the people that are around you. But then you're gonna have to put like your nose to the grindstone, man. And you're gonna have to, like, it's gonna suck sometimes. And and the problem is it's gonna suck, and people are not gonna realize how much it sucks. So sometimes, like, I'll have those like devil moments or whatever, where I'm like, people don't understand all this that I have to put into this. People don't understand, and what, you want them to understand what you have to go through, right? Because you feel like they'd appreciate it more. But it doesn't matter. Like, if you're gonna do this, it doesn't matter whether people know or not. You got to do it for yourself. If you do something and you're expecting to get recognition of like, man, that must have taken you a long time and you must have put a lot of work into that. If you're expecting that, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? So like, if you're doing it, you need to do it because you love it, and you need to know that you're not gonna get the pats on the back that you want. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough, and the goal and the reason for why you're doing it needs to be a good one, because there's gonna be nights where you feel like you want to give up.
Yeah. Damn. I like what you said about being present, because I think that's big. I bet that definitely helps, because there was a while, like when I was chasing and getting my insurance business going, man, like I was like kind of neglecting the relationships I had, even with family. Like I would go over real quick and have lunch and dip out. And like, Dad's like, hey, where you going? I'm like, oh, I gotta go. I got another meeting, you know. But then I guess it kind of helped my faith, helped kick in that is really, love your neighbor. It says that in the Bible, and I kind of use that with my relationships. Like, damn, like I'm not showing love right here. Like I'm not being present in this moment right here. I'm just looking for myself. You're right. I'm just looking out for myself. And when I started kind of, let me give this person that I'm here with, your daughter, for your instance, your daughter, for my instance, maybe a friend I'm hanging out with at that moment in time. Let me give them all I got, know, whether it's a great conversation, whether it's a laugh, really being present in those moments goes a long way, and I bet you could attest to that in parenting, and really whatever you do, but being present, I think is really, really key.
I think it makes a big difference.
I love that, bro. I really respect that about you. That's something I've always seen from afar is how you put your daughter first and how you show your affection for her, how you show your love, and you'll always constantly posting, hey, we're out here, like we're jamming in the car together. I think that stuff is so cool because a lot of people have that with their kids, bro, and like, shoot, they might not even be that busy and they're still neglecting those relationships, and man, it's key. And I think I honestly, now that we're on that subject, I think that's big of the way these kids grow up nowadays too, with like the mental health, because they're just not even getting that love. They're just getting all from a camera, from a video, from gaming. They don't have that real relationship with their parents, and then when they get older, their parents are like, why is my kid acting up, this and that, and then they just get frowned upon. But I think that's really big, Yeah, so dude. I respect you for that, man.
I appreciate that, man. It's huge, dude. And I think that's a huge problem with like the world right now and like our society, especially like in America, because other places are different, right? But especially in America, I think parents are not present because I think it's real simple for a lot of these kids that are growing up now to not have relationships with their parents because their parents were Nintendo heads when they were young. Like they were super into playing games or whatever. So now they see their child, all the kid does is they go to school and then they come home and they just play games all day. And they're fine with that because they kind of grew up that way. But the problem is now, man, is people don't know how to deal with people. Like if you ask somebody off the street to come in and sit down with you and talk for 30 minutes, an hour or something, like a lot of people would have a problem with it because people don't know how to talk anymore. And I think that's a big problem with like our societies with the kids are growing up, man. It's like they're soft, man. Like kids
it's true.
Like kids are soft nowadays. Like they get their feelings hurt so easy. They can't take criticism. They don't know how to talk face to face, right? Like looking somebody in the eye is a problem. Like it's like, I don't know how to look somebody in the eye, shaking somebody's hand, being confrontational. It's like we're losing that as a people, which is a problem, So I think a big thing to combat that is it starts with parents. You know what I mean? And even if you weren't raised that way, like you need to figure like YouTube it, Google it, right? Like how to be a present parent. I think it's a big deal, man, because like the way you treat your kids is how it's going to stick with them until they're going to be that way forever. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm not perfect. I mean, I screw up and stuff like that, and I get after my kid and she cries and what. I mean, I'm a parent, right? But I try at the end of every day to make sure that she knows that I love her and to be present with her to try to combat some of those issues that may be present when she gets older,
Hey, bro, it's been a pleasure. Yeah. Where can people, maybe like hear your music or check you out on social media or like hear the band or any upcoming events? Like, what do you got going on?
Yeah, so we have a couple of events coming up. I think the next one's coming up here in the Valley are September 23rd and October 7th. We're going to be at Longboards again over in SPI.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, those are fun shows, man. They get packed. So we'll be over in SPI. I think we have in December, we're doing the Christmas Posada for the city of Far, I believe, December 9th. December 16th, we're going to be in Harlingen doing their downtown festival. So you can check out any of those dates, local in the RGV. We have a few out of town and stuff like that, but for the RGV, we have those going on. And then, man, they can check out the website, jrcolemusic.com. There has links to all our social medias and stuff like that. There's merch, they can hear our songs and stuff. So yeah, man, everything's at JR Cole Music. So anybody that wants to check it out, yeah.
Awesome, bro. Well, hey, man, I love the story. I found out a lot about you that I didn't know, you know, so I'm really excited to see what you have going on next, go to some of your shows, and tap into the music, man. I think you guys are going to do big things, bro. So
I appreciate
you, being on the podcast, and yeah, bro.
Yeah, dude. Congrats again on the podcast, man. It was a good time. It was a good time.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you for joining. Subscribe to the podcast. Stay tuned for more episodes coming soon. And hope you guys have a blessed day. Follow your journey. Chase your purpose. Peace.